Alrighty, let's speed on through our medicinal herbs here, and we're coming to, look at this beautiful sunflower. We are coming to, I think I'll cover sunflower in my next video. Look at those bees. Alright, little California poppy blooms, got some goldenrod here. My hyssop is doing great. The thyme's doing great. We're getting there. My basil, some more mints, Greek oregano. Hi YouTube friends, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I have been creating these medicinal garden tours of my herb gardens on our property for the past few weeks, and it's been a while since I've updated or done one for you, so here we go. This is number 5. Alrighty, and I just want to say I'm going to try, the summer is ticking away here, so I'm going to try to be putting more of these out, but I want to mention I am an herbalist and I'm an aromatherapist. I love using medicinal plants to support our health and wellness, and to support the health and wellness of clients I work with and also my students. So, you know, if you want to learn herbalism, I would love for you to join me in our Confident Herbalist tribe if you're serious about it. If you just want to get your custom home apothecary created, our Ditch the Drugstore class is really great. And I'm opening it up for the last time in 2022 in just a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. I'd love to have you join us. Okay, today we're going to go ahead and talk about calendula, pineapple sage. We're going to talk about coriander. And we're also going to talk about Echinacea. All right, so we're going to talk about these 4. We may talk about Arnica. If I'm going to head over to my little patch of Arnica and see how it's going. I've been harvesting off of these plants literally all summer since they started blooming. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have any blooms over there, but if it's possible, we'll go ahead and talk about Arnica. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off with calendula. So I've got some calendula here, and then I also have calendula in other places. I'm going to go ahead and just show you what this looks like, but, ooh, goodness. All right, so calendula is a really neat little plant. It is covered in resin. All the stems are covered in resin, the leaves are covered in resin, and the receptacle of the flower is filled with resin, and that is the part that's medicinal. So most herbalists like to use the flowers, but you can also use the leaves if you want to as well. And you'll know you've got calendula because of the way it looks, and it's quite sticky. So when you pick the plant, you're going to get a little sticky residue, and that's your resin. These, I don't know if you can see, those are the seeds. The seeds look like little, kind of like, they're almost reptilian. They look really strange. They're like little, they're little C-shaped seeds with little ridges on them. I'm going to save these. And they are not really useful medicinally. We don't really use the seeds. We just mainly use the flowers. So let's talk about the benefits and uses. So calendula is a very powerful vulnerary herb, which means it is a great skin healing herb. It's really wonderful for the skin. These days, you're likely, if you look at the ingredients on your cosmetic labels for the finer kinds of products, you might see calendula listed. It's really helpful for skin. It's wonderful, so therefore it's a great beauty aid. And if you make calendula infused oil, I guarantee you, you're going to have some excellent health benefits coming from that oil. And plus it's pretty, it's golden. It's a golden oil. Calendula is great for oral health. I like to use it in mouthwashes or in cases where there's canker sores or, you know, sore gums, things like that. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's an anti-spasmodic. Calendula is one of those herbs I love using in digestive mixes or formulations as a supporting herb. It actually can help to soothe the digestive tract, the whole GI tract really. And if you have intestinal spasms, it can be helpful with that too. It helps with ulcers, like stomach ulcers. It really goes to work to heal any kind of tissue it comes into contact with. So if you have a stomach ulcer and you drink the tea on a daily basis, especially if you're using it with marshmallow root or some kind of a demulcent root, it's very, very helpful. Calendula is also great for helping to speed up the healing of wounds. I love using it in conjunction with comfrey for that. And it's an emmenagogue. It is very helpful to normalize periods or to bring on a late period. And it's really helpful for hemorrhoids too. So if you suffer from hemorrhoids, calendula might be a good choice for you. And on top of all that, it is antimicrobial and antiviral to an extent, not as strongly as other herbs like elder or echinacea, but it can be quite helpful for those things. All right, so that is calendula. Here's a little patch of calendula. This is one of my little small patches in the garden. I just happened to be out here, so here we go. And this, I just started this bed this year, and I'm really surprised at how profuse the flowers are, but they're also smaller than what my normal calendula is. So it's pretty interesting. Here's some sunflowers that are getting going. Very lovely. The wasps love sunflowers. Unfortunately, here's one right here. My yarrow. Lovely. My motherwort. And again, this is one of my beds. I don't plant my herbs all in the same bed. Like, for example, I have yarrow growing in 3 different places on my property. Motherwort I have growing in 3 different places. Calendula I have growing in 3 different places. And that's because I feel like having the diversity of location is really helpful to be sure that I'm able to harvest what I need every year. Okay, next on our list of medicinal plants, medicinal garden plants, is Echinacea. This is Echinacea purpurea, and this is a wonderful, wonderful plant that helps the immune system. I personally like to let it go to seed. Here we go. The seed pod, the cone on top is quite stiff, and it yields lovely seeds, so it actually does a pretty good job of reseeding itself. All parts of the Echinacea plant are useful. The leaves, the roots, the flowers, the seeds, all of it. So if you can make a whole plant tincture, you're going to be in really good shape. Alrighty? So to do that, you obviously want to have a good patch developed, and you don't want to kill off all of your Echinacea. So anyway, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the benefits and the uses of Echinacea. I love, love, love this plant, and you're going to find out why in just a second. Hi ladies, chicks. All right, so here I am. I'm sitting here in front of a very small Echinacea patch. Echinacea, I'm kind of struggling to grow a little bit. I have a few flowers. Echinacea is most well known for its beneficial effects on the immune system. And Echinacea is really, truly wonderful. It is an immunostimulating herb, and it can also be immunomodulating in certain amounts. But primarily, I don't personally, as an herbalist, recommend taking Echinacea every single day unless you're using it for a specific reason, such as controlling blood glucose levels, which it can be helpful with, possibly for some people. In that case, you're just going to use a small amount. But when you're getting sick with a cold or a flu or some kind of other bacteria or virus, taking Echinacea in strong amounts can be really, really helpful in helping your immune system kick into gear. So I really love it for that. Usually during the fall and spring, we take elder just as a tonic, a little bit every day. But if we feel like we're starting to get sick, we power it up with some Echinacea, and Echinacea is just great for that. Echinacea has other benefits too. As I just said, it's really helpful for acute illnesses, even sepsis. Echinacea would be one of those herbs I reach for in really dramatic cases where I can't get medical help. And by the way, if you're experiencing terrible sickness, please go to the doctor. That's just the best thing to do for many people. If you're an herbalist and you know how to work with the plants very skillfully, and then you may not have to go. And honestly, most common ailments can be handled really nicely with herbs. But if you find that you do have a condition such as sepsis, get yourself to the doctor. Very, very important. Now, if you can't, Echinacea would be the one to use several times a day. Echinacea also happens to have a numbing effect. A good tincture or a good extract of Echinacea will cause your mouth to kind of tingle and go numb a little bit. It actually has similar chemicals as the toothache plant, which is called spilanthes, which I covered in an earlier garden tour video. So you might want to go back and look at that one. Echinacea is really helpful for oral health as well. If you have a toothache, if you have canker sores or cold sores or things like that, Echinacea can be very, very supportive. Finally, I really like Echinacea in certain skincare products, especially for things like acne. There's a compound in Echinacea that's really helpful to clear up acne conditions. So there you go. I'm sitting here next to a bumblebee. I love it as a pollinator too. All right, let's go on. We're next going to talk about pineapple sage. And here we are. Pineapple sage. Look at this beautiful plant. So pineapple sage actually yields blossoms that are bright red, and in our area they end up coming out toward the end of September. So I'll actually probably do an update on this plant for you at that time. It's quite large, but pineapple sage is a really wonderful member of the salvia family. Salvia is a sage genus. So pineapple sage's Latin name is Salvia elegans, and you can tell it looks totally different than your typical garden sage or Salvia officinalis or clary sage, which is Salvia scleria. So it's a different sage. Sages, I always get asked this question: can sages be used interchangeably? And the answer is no. They all have different compounds and different uses, but all sages, I shouldn't say all sages, but most of the sages I'm aware of are wonderful to have in your garden. Let's talk about the medicinal benefits and uses now. So pineapple sage smells like, guess what? Pineapple. And I just love it. It has the strongest pineapple scent, comes out during the spring with the early leaves. As the plant gets older, it still has the pineapple scent. It's just not quite as strong, I've noticed. And then you can use the flowers when the flowers come out. It's the leaves and the flowers that are edible in pineapple sage. So it does taste like pineapple. It's really got this nice overtone of just refreshing pineapple. I don't know how else to explain it. You can infuse it in sugar, which is really nice. You can dry it and use it as flavorings in your teas and other things, but it's an edible herb as well as being a medicinal. So many of the sages help with cognitive health or brain health. They support brain function. Salvia officinalis, which is garden sage, is really, really helpful for cognition. Pineapple sage may have some benefits as well in that area. There's not a whole lot of studies on it, but I've heard that pineapple sage can benefit the brain. What it's mainly known for medicinally is its ability to be an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety herb. In fact, in Mexico, it's used quite often for this. Very, very, very helpful. You could make a strong tincture with it or an extract and just use it as a strong infusion if you want to. Personally, I like to tincture it for that. And I actually like to use it in conjunction with other kinds of herbs that are helpful for mental health and emotional health. And those would be things like St. John's wort, hops for anxiety, marjoram is very, very helpful, lavender, very soothing and wonderful. But you can combine different herbs that can really be supportive of mental health, and then also essential oils too. And I know I'm off track here, so let's go ahead and get back on track. Pineapple sage is also excellent for your digestive health. I love it as an addition to teas that soothe gastric distress, bloating, and flatulence. It's really helpful in terms of those conditions. All right, so that's pineapple sage. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to be harvesting this plant as soon as I see those flowers popping up. I've already taken a few leaves, but I'm really excited about the flowers. They're beautiful, number one, and they taste a little bit like honeysuckle. So I'll show you what those look like when they start blooming. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Arnica. I actually have a couple of older flowers here I can show you, and luckily, I'm so thrilled about this, it seems to be spreading already. So I'm very, very happy about this. This is Arnica. This is an older flower, and what you do, the way I harvest it, is I just pick the flowers off. I let them dry out a little bit, and then I add them to my infused oil. Here's another bunch over here. So they've got some older flowers too. The best time to get your Arnica flowers, that's an Arnica right there. So the best time to get your Arnica flowers is right before they bloom. So this is not a good example of when to harvest Arnica, but I'm out here now, and so I'm going to just do this. But Arnica happens to be a member of the aster family. Let me turn this around. All right, so here I'm standing under a grape arbor in another part of our gardens, and I have picked a little piece of Arnica for you here. This is just a small one with a little old flower on it. I've been picking the flowers all summer long, and I actually have just been letting them go at this point. This is a little bit of one. They can get to be about that big in a healthy, mature plant. So my plants are coming from seed right now, but I've actually gathered quite a few of the flowers this year. I'm really excited about that. So let's go ahead and talk about what Arnica is good for. And Arnica, or Arnica montana is the Latin name, is exceptional at healing and soothing inflammation and bruising in torn tissues and muscle tissues. When I say torn, I'm talking about internally. So you don't want to take Arnica internally ever. It's not used for that. It can be toxic. And you also don't want to put it necessarily on open wounds either. So you want to put it on areas that like arthritis or bruising or sore muscles. It's just really exceptional for those uses. Another thing I love using Arnica for with people is when I get asked, hey, what can I use for, stimulating hair growth? Well, Arnica is a really good one. And actually, Echinacea might be helpful in that regard as well. But Arnica is excellent. In fact, there have been clinical studies done comparing it to Rogaine. So check that out. One final thing I love using Arnica for, and there are a couple of others, but these are the main ones, is carpal tunnel syndrome. A nice, strong oil infusion of Arnica oil can be a wonderful carrier in conjunction with certain essential oils to help with carpal tunnel. I know that from my own personal experience. Consistent use over time has done really wonders for mine. And I, as a school teacher writing on the whiteboard or the chalkboard back when I first started, you end up with carpal tunnel issues over time, and I sure did. Well, this plant has been very, very helpful, as well as, like I said, certain essential oils in conjunction create a powerful synergy. By the way, one of my students wanted some clarification on what a synergy was the other day. What does that even mean, right? Well, you have to think of it this way. Arnica has certain capabilities. Comfrey has certain capabilities. German chamomile has certain capabilities. And when you take them all by themselves, they're nice, they're helpful. But when you combine them together, the effects of the group of herbs together are much greater than the effects of any one herb by itself. That's a synergy. They potentiate each other. And it's so exciting when you learn how to work with the herbs and create powerful formulas for that. By the way, if you're not in my Confident Herbalist tribe and you want to learn herbalism and you want to learn how to formulate and you want to have just fun and you want to learn about the plants on a very deep level, yes, it includes all of those things, plus personal support from me. So you should really check it out. It's very affordable for what it is. It's filled with course materials at this point. And I love, love, love helping people become herbalists and support your own and your family's health naturally with herbs and essential oils. As you know, I am an experienced herbalist and a certified aromatherapist, so this is a great opportunity. Check out the tribe before the price goes up. All right, let's move on to the next plant. We're going to go ahead and take a look at coriander next. I think you're going to love it. Okay, so this is actually cilantro, and cilantro is the plant that the coriander seed comes from. So when it's fresh like this, look at those little seeds coming out. This is called cilantro. And this is the same herb that's used in a lot of salsas and Mexican foods. It's really quite delicious. It's a balancing culinary herb, and most people love it. It's heavily used in North America and also Central America. So here again, the seeds. There we go. And over here, I've got some dried coriander. Or dried, cilantro, but this is actually now turned to coriander because you've got the seeds. And I'm just kind of letting these dry on the plant. And then what I do is I come out, I snip the plant off, and I garble off the seeds. So here's another one right here. You can see what they look like. They're like little balls. Yummy. And they're delicious. Let's talk about the uses and benefits of coriander. All right, so coriander. Here I've got a little fresh specimen of the cilantro plant. And oh, I love it. This is one of my favorite things to grow every year, mainly because you can use the fresh parts of the plant for cooking, and then you've got the seeds, and the seeds are amazing. As far as the essential oil goes, the essential oil is distilled from the seeds too. That's where you're going to find the highest number of highest amount of volatile oils is in the seeds. So coriander, again, is a balancing herb in terms of cooking. It's a fixative. It can really help round out certain flavors. So culinarily speaking, it's really helpful for that. Cilantro and coriander both. Although a lot of people don't like cilantro. They like coriander, but maybe not cilantro, the leaves, because some people get a sensation of tasting soap and other people don't. I personally don't. I love it. But coriander seeds are really helpful for digestion. They're helpful for soothing tension and mild anxiety. Really helpful for that. Again, the essential oil is as well. Along that line, coriander seed may be a nice cardio tonic for you to take on a little bit of a daily basis, because if you have high blood pressure, it can mildly help soothe overly high blood pressure. It can help just moderate it a little bit. So I'm definitely not a medical doctor, and I'm not saying that it's going to solve your hypertension, but it can be a really helpful supporting herb for it. Another thing about coriander is that it might help regulate your blood sugar levels too. It's been studied for that reason, and I think more studies will be done on it, but it might be just very helpful in terms of that. If you are in early stages of type 2 diabetes, you might want to look into it and ask your medical doctor about it as well. And if your medical doctor doesn't know about herbs, maybe do some research yourself and present it to your doctor. Because I think medical doctors really need to understand that our medicinal herbs can really be helpful in their practice. Coriander is also anti-microbial. So to an extent, it can support the immune system. Not greatly, like we just talked about Echinacea, but all the spices can be really, really helpful. And in terms of that as well, it might be a little bit anti-tumoral or anti-cancer. Do a little bit more research on that too. I believe more clinical studies are coming out about that benefit of coriander too. So this is an herb where if you're growing it, add it to your cooking. Add it to your cooking and enjoy it. It's really helpful. It's quite safe. I don't even know if there are any contraindications. I've never heard of any. So it's just one of those plants that is just beneficial all around. And I hope that you love it as much as I do. Okay, So that's it for the 5th garden tour. We talked about 5 different plants today. We talked about Calendula, Echinacea, Arnica, and Coriander. Oh, and pineapple sage. So I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope you'll come and continue on these garden tours with me. We are getting our little herb farm going at this point, and it's slow going. It's been slow. We're building beds every year. We're adding more medicinals, and right now we've got in the area that we can forage for on our property and in the surrounding area and what we cultivate and grow, we've got well over 100 medicinal herbs at our fingertips here on the property. I'm not sure how many grow exactly on the property, but I bet it's probably right around like 90 to 95-ish or so. And so I'm just going to continue these garden series, you guys, and just show you what's possible in a small area. We're not using a massive area of our property for the herb garden, probably about an acre or so. So anyway, I will talk with you next time. Please subscribe. Please take a look at the Confident Herbalist Tribe. I'll put the link below. If you're interested in the Herbally Accomplished Workshop series, which I'm starting up this fall, you really need to take a look. Those are going to be fun ways to do practical, easy, useful projects once a month for a season. So the fall season is starting up. We're going to be talking about the immune system, making some fun, tasty remedies that actually your kids might like to enjoy. And we are also going to be talking about fall skincare and in November, botanical gifts. So take a look, links below. I hope you join us. All right, I'll talk with you soon. I'm Heidi Villegas, herbalist, aromatherapist, and homesteader, and I'm signing off. Thanks for being here.